For this episode of Crossing the Streams, I'd love to welcome our guest, FireHeartTTV. Hello, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Welcome to the show. We were talking before this whole thing. Before we go too much further, I would love to just get a quick description of you and your channel and what your Twitch community is all about.
Well, I like to describe my stream as chaotic chill. I am easily distracted, so there's often a lot of laughter around that. But we mainly do brick building. It's not how I got my start on Twitch. I was originally streaming games. I do occasionally do games, but mainly it's just my Sunday brick builds. But my main focus is like intending to have a place for everybody to come hang out, chill while they're doing other things, chat if they want to, just hang out.
Before we go too much further, one of the things that kind of came up before we started was what your handle is or where it came from. So, because you're saying that there's a story with how that goes.
Oh, sure. Yes. Well, my name Fireheart actually comes from it's a nickname for one of my favorite book characters in my favorite book series, Throne of Glass. The character's name is Alynn, so you'll hear people call me Alynn, see it in chat. It's kind of a fantasy elf. It's got elves and fae and like all kinds of stuff like that. But it's like a strong book with a strong female lead who is basically like she was a princess, and then her, like just a quick description, her parents were killed, and she's the last remaining of her line. So she's hiding out and gets trained as an assassin until she's ready to take back her throne. So yeah, it's just, I really love the story.
I think that's a really cool. I had never heard of your handle before, and I actually remember thinking when because I think my first interaction with you was when you rated me. I was wondering where that came from, and I always feel like I don't know how to ask that thing, so I totally use this show, full disclosure, as an excuse to ask about Twitch handles and where it comes from. So that's where the channel name comes from, and then you go by Alynn when people refer to you online.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
So you were saying how you do a lot of Lego now on your streams, but that's not how it kind of started. What kind of got you going on Twitch, and what did that look like if it wasn't Lego?
Well, initially, my significant other's best friend's wife encouraged me to start up on Twitch. She streams, she still streams. She was streaming games at the time, and she encouraged me because, at the start, I started streaming during COVID, like at the beginning, pretty much. Like, I am a very, like, I like to be outdoors. I like to travel. I like to be everywhere. So I was shut in as everybody else was. And I was having a hard time with it. So Twitch kind of became my way to meet new people and to socialize while we were all going through that whole mess. I started out just streaming. I think the first game I streamed was Human Fall Flat with my significant other. So we just things like that. And then it slowly transformed into initially like a big story of how I got started. I kind of talked a little bit about it on my last stream. But at first I kind of had the idea of wanting to do brick building. I thought, it was a really cool idea. And at the time I was friends with somebody who kind of like helped guide me in a little bit of a way with regards to Twitch, because I was brand new to everything. And they had actually told me, oh no, that's not going to work out. Nobody's going to want to watch that. Nothing like that. And then I just happened to be watching another streamer who rated Your Nerdy Girl, and
Wow.
that's how I kind of got started in the brick building community, because I met her and I was like, she's doing brick builds and everybody loves it and she loves it, and like that's kind of so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I pretty much all I do now. I do occasionally do games, but it's where I feel most comfortable is in the brick building community, and everybody's been like so awesome and welcoming, so it's just been a great experience.
That's really incredible that you were actually told that people weren't going to maybe even watch that. I can't believe that would be the feedback someone gets. I think honestly, I mean, they obviously didn't know about the existing Lego and brick building Twitch community, or else I don't think they would have said that. But it's incredible because even I would say in the history of Twitch brick building, even 5 to 6 years ago, it was a thing. It was certainly wasn't as much of a thing as it is now, but
Mhm.
it's always existed and it's steadily has grown since then. And then when you bring the pandemic into the whole thing, you find that it just kind of skyrocketed there. Now we have several, like hundreds of people who do brick building throughout a given week. That's really incredible. So just one day you rated into your nerdy girl and then you're like, oh, someone's actually doing this. In terms of brick building itself, because you were thinking about doing that before streaming, what was it like with Lego? What was your history with it up until then?
I actually, I had Lego as a kid, but I didn't have any of like the theme sets. My mom literally just bought like a bucket secondhand, and for me and my brother was just like, here, have fun. So my exposure to theme sets was very limited as a
Mm.
child. Like I didn't even know they existed probably until my early 20s. And so what got me back into it was actually the Disney castle, the giant one. And I was like, and I bought that, but I still have yet to put it together. Okay. It's sitting in my storage right now. But it kind of got me started. And then so I got addicted to Lego from, I think it was like 2013, 2014 when I got back into Lego. And now all I do is theme sets. So
Yeah. Is there a particular theme that you're really into over others?
I'm really into like I don't do a lot of them on stream, but I'm really into city build. I've been collecting cities for the day that I have my space and I can build my city.
Yeah.
So I have different sets like that I'm constantly picking up. I've done a few, but usually I don't build it because I'm waiting until I can have it all placed and like I have so many plans in my head that I'm working out through. Every time they come out with something new, I'm like, "Oh, I need that for my city."
That's really cool. City's a good one, and I feel the same way you do, where, I think a lot of city sets are cool. Like you, I feel like if I were to keep building those, I would love to actually have a space for it to all kind of just exist in one place. I don't have like, like some folks have literally a room for their Lego city. I don't have that, but maybe one day. That's a long-term goal for me.
I agree. I'm actually going to be moving next weekend, and so I'm trying to decide. Do I want to set up my background in my bedroom and then have a room just dedicated to Lego, or do I want to do half Lego, half stream room?
That's gonna be cool, I think, regardless of which direction you go. With streaming brick building, how long ago was that when you started doing it?
I want to say I started in October or August of last year.
Hmm.
My first set, I think, actually was. I don't think I get it confused. I think it was the Lego Jurassic Park, the T Rex with the T Rex gate.
Mm.
But there was another thing that I built. I don't remember exactly which set was my first set. So
Once you find someone who's actually doing it on Twitch, you see the
mhm,
precedent set. It kind of gives us all permission to go, oh, I can do that too, right? Like, uh,
yes.
what was it like for you to go from games and start doing brick building? Like, how was that transition?
Well, at first it was slow. I was still like when I first started out streaming, I was doing like 3 streams a week.
Yeah.
And then so I basically knocked out one of the game days and made it into a Lego day. And then I was like, oh, I'm only going to do this like every other weekend, just in case it does fail, and everybody's like, I'm out of here. But actually, like, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it every other week. And then everybody's like, why? Why would you do it every other week? Do it every Sunday. Cause I had actually started on Sundays, and everybody's like, "This is so cool! Like, I can literally just sit here and like listen to you while I'm doing this or that Sunday chore, or and chat when I can chat and like that kind of thing." So it's just like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it every week then."
When you started streaming in general, was there any kind of particular things that felt were challenging or kind of hard to get used to when you first started?
It really is really, and something I kind of struggle with now, even to this day, is that remembering to talk because sometimes I'll go off in my own little world and then I'm
Yeah.
like, I haven't said anything for 5 minutes.
Oh
What
no.
am I doing? Yeah, so it's really the talking. It took a while to get used to like talking basically at my computer. But once I did, it's fine. It's just like now it's remembering to talk. It's like, okay, okay, what are we gonna say next? What are we gonna say next? We
Yeah.
can't just sit here and have them staring at us while we're putting Lego together.
Do you have any tricks or things that you do to kind of help you remember to do that?
I would say just practice like off stream practice just talking to yourself. Practice if you have a good inner monologue going with yourself, you're going to do just fine.
When you stream, is there anything in particular that you've found challenging or difficult as you continue to build Lego?
Mainly what I try to focus on now, and I'm trying to get better at it as well, because I just is trying to make that connection with people who come, the new people that come in,
Mm,
and make them want to come back. That's something that I really want to like work on and like make sure that I'm focusing on welcoming everybody that comes into chat and I talk to them for a little bit. I try to get a little bit of discourse coming on, and then but I also at the same time I'm like, if you're just here to lurk, cool,
yeah.
because I love my lurkers as much as I love my talkers,
Yeah.
because they're here day in and day out. So
Lurking is an interesting thing in that you never want to make people feel like they can't, but then you also want to be able to like hopefully get some engagement. So it's one of those things where
yeah.
you're um trying to ask questions to chat. I think that's always one of the toughest things for me to do is thinking of like,
Yeah, because like I'll like the way I do it, the way I try to do it, I practice to do it is that like
yeah,
I'll ask a question and then I'll provide the answer to my own question.
yeah, gosh, I think especially if you're brand new, it tends to
Hmm.
be unnatural a lot of the time. Like
Yes.
often, unless you have already some kind of history in broadcast, whether it's like radio or TV or things like that, I think save that like for like it's really tough to like kind of sit down and start streaming. Do you have like do you have any like things that you wish that you knew, kind of going into it that would have helped you get there faster?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think what I wish I knew going into it, to just be yourself. Just be yourself. No matter what. Like you see all these other people, the really successful people on Twitch, and they're pulling in thousands and that stuff. Like so, you get caught in the comparison game, but just don't do that. Just be yourself, and it's something I struggle with sometimes. Like reminding myself, just be yourself. Don't get caught up in the comparisons because comparison is the thief of joy. So it's really important when you're streaming to do what you enjoy, not what you think other people want to watch per se. It's good to find a nice balance, but at the end of the day, you want to enjoy what you're doing because if you enjoy what you're doing, it'll be reflected in your stream.
That's definitely wise words there. Be enjoying what you're doing, be passionate about what you're doing, which leads me to the next question. What about building Lego on stream? Do you enjoy? What about that whole act of streaming Lego? Like what are those pieces that really make you want to keep doing it?
I think the big thing that keeps me going is that I want to share it. Like I feel like whenever I'm streaming a build that I essentially look at it as the people are sitting right here next to me and they're building along with me. So I want to share. That's a big part of why I had started gaming. Like when I was gaming, I did mostly like indie games and unknown games because like that's what I love the most. Like I love the puzzle games and things like
Mm.
that. And I love to share. So that a big part of streaming for me is sharing something that I enjoy, like giving a piece of something that I enjoy and sharing it with chat.
What was your go-to when you were playing games? Were there any particular I'm just curious. I know this is a complete detour from the conversation, but what kind of things, what did you have, like, a favorite game or one that you would go back to all the time, or was it just, different indie or smaller games as you went?
Yeah, different, just different indie. Like I really love pretty games. Like one that I was working on recently was called Lost Ember, and
Mm,
you're basically a fox, like you're a reincarnation, and you're trying to, basically figure out what happened, and move on, pass on. But there's like a lot of games that like would have like story and stuff. So there's not like one particular game
mhm.
that I could sit here and recommend games for days depending on your likes. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I like puzzle story games. I still sometimes stream the mainstream stuff, but I usually like
Mhm.
the little unknown. Like one I'm in love with right now is Superliminal. I don't know if you've ever watched or played that one.
I've
Yeah,
heard of
I
it,
like
yeah.
yeah. So
Why the smaller games over the ones that are more mainstream?
I just honestly feel like often that they're better games and there's a I don't know, a bit more creativity, but I
Mhm.
kind of want to say, but kind of at the same time, no, because the big games are like I said, they're still enjoyable, but I feel like there's a lot of like unknown, really, really good games out there that people don't know about because it was made by a small company and not, Bethesda or something like that.
Yeah, with smaller games, there's kind of that freedom in a way, right? Because
Hmm.
when you kind of become a bigger game company or a
Hmm.
well-known franchise or IP, you start kind of getting expectations around what you make, right? Or they
Hmm.
expect like the next iteration of this big game that you've already released, which then makes
Yep.
obviously you want to innovate, but there's almost less freedom to do something interesting. Whereas in the indie world, you're generally the indies generally make the thing that they just want to make because they're not under any kind of pressure to
Hmm.
actually deliver something that they've potentially have delivered before. I like that. I like that aspect of what how you approached streaming before, with games. Is there any kind of that particular concept of, hey, I like to stream games that aren't widely known? Does that carry over into like your brick building in Lego, or how do you approach deciding on what kind of builds that you do when you stream brick building?
Honestly, it's just really what I feel like. I've done like two Jurassic Park builds because Jurassic Park is like one of my favorite
Hmm.
franchises. Let's forget about it after three, but two was kind of like, no, two, let's forget about two completely. But Jurassic Park one, like I could watch that movie over and over again. So I really I've done two of those builds so far.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just do like I just finished the big massive AT-AT not that long ago. So it's really just what I'm feeling like.
Yeah.
I have like a stack of sets where I'm like, I'd like to share this with stream, and then I just pick
Yeah.
and choose from whatever I feel like I want to do next, basically.
Yeah, you by looking at the sets behind you, I see that there is just kind of a wide variety of like different types of builds. If
Mhm.
you're listening to this and you don't see it, yeah, there's I see the Starry Night set behind you as well. I like that there's a whole variety of what you got going, and I mean it sounds like it's whatever sounds good to you. How big is your backlog? Out of curiosity. You don't
Oh,
have to answer it if it makes you uncomfortable.
we actually I got a little bit of flack about this from chat.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
there's
I have a lot.
so there's no shortage at all of sets to
No.
come. And like you said a moment ago, you build what sounds fun at the time, which is really good.
Mhm.
Do you have any particular like a white whale, like a set that you've always wanted but haven't gotten yet, and you're just hoping to get it someday?
Actually, no. I mean, if we're talking about retired sets, probably, but I try not to look in
Yeah,
that direction too much because,
yeah,
once it goes out of stock for
yeah.
Lego permanently, it skyrockets in price. But I will say one that I acquired recently that was a pretty big purchase, but I just had to have it was the Lego bookshop.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd been looking at that one and kind of how I feel about it is that like I've obtained a lot more Lego in the last year, like here and there, because I'm so scared that things are gonna go out of stock because what happened with the bookshop. Because I
Yeah,
kept waiting. I was like, no, I can wait, I can wait, I can wait. And then next thing I know, it's gone. And then
yeah.
it's like, but I want it.
There's that definite fear of I've had that same feeling when it's like a set's been out for a little while, and then I begin to
Mhm.
question whether or not it's gonna disappear soon, and I haven't heard yet, and I can't find anything
Mhm.
on it, and then it's gone. So there are definitely sets for me that have been that way where I'm like, I should really just pick it up before they stop making it. In terms of Lego and Twitch and kind of this whole space that we're in, are there any people or streamers in the space that you really look up to or get a lot of inspiration from?
Well, as far as Twitch goes, like I said, I was introduced by your nerdy girl. So I'm kind of in that circle a bit, and there's been a lot of things where she's inspired me to make changes, and then there's also been like off the top of my head, I probably couldn't name them, but there's been gaming streamers that have been like that have
Yeah,
kind of inspired me to do different things, and I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea. I should instate that and just some
yeah.
things like sometimes people just like they put those ideas in your head and it's like a light bulb comes on.
As far as like the or not the Lego, but the gaming side of things, are there any particular people that you really enjoy learning from or kind of looking at it and realizing, oh yeah, I could totally like they've taught me a lot.
So I don't know if you've heard of I'm probably gonna butcher this. It's LJM. He's also on YouTube as well. He does a lot of like streamer like how-to videos. He actually does stream on Twitch, but most like how I found him was YouTube because I
Mm,
was like, looking, because you always want to do your research, but like, how do I do this better?
yeah.
So he's actually a pretty fun person to watch and to interact with and talk to.
Are there any people on Twitch that you tend to like to watch a lot, not including LJ?
Well, I am actually like whenever I first started, I got involved with a community of people, and so I still watch a lot of the people that I initially like started playing games with and streaming with and stuff. So
Hmm.
one of my all time favorite gamers is or Twitch people to watch is Kishu Kyralia.
Mm,
She doesn't do builds, but she does play a lot of different games, and she also does she is a dog groomer, so sometimes she'll groom her dog on stream and stuff. So she's just a really good friend, and I love to watch her.
that's
Yeah.
really cool. I've never seen dog grooming on Twitch, but the more I hear about stuff like this, the less surprised I am because I just feel
Mhm.
like there's more and more things that people are doing that I would consider out of the ordinary for Twitch. So that's really
Mhm.
cool. That's definitely cool. Have you ever thought about doing something really different with your own Twitch channel? Are there things that you're considering introducing, or maybe think maybe I should do that sometime?
Yeah, yes. In particular, I did notice it's a very small amount, but I saw it whenever I was browsing the art section, and I was like, "Oh, I should do that." But there are people on Twitch that they color. They literally color in adult coloring books and just
Yeah.
talk with people. I'm like, I do that already. I should just jump for it.
Oh, that's so great. I noticed someone doing that in the art category a week or two ago. and they were doing
Mhm.
just what you described. They had the top down camera, actually not unlike some of the Lego setups out there. It's just a camera overhead pointed down at the desk, but they were coloring. I remember thinking, I've never seen that before, and it's incredible that there are some of these streams where, yeah, like people trying different things. I think you should try it. I think you should do it. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it eventually. One of these
Mhm.
days, it'll happen.
So do you do different coloring books nowadays? Is there ones that you do obviously off stream?
Yes, I actually majorly do like a floral or like ocean life because I am actually a certified scuba diver. I love to be in the ocean.
Yeah.
Even though despite I am afraid to drown, so tell me how that works. But like I love the ocean and I love like seeing animals in their natural habitat is a really fun thing for me. So I love
Yeah.
to go to like the zoo. Well, even though that's technically not their natural habitat, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I like to see animals doing their thing. And then so I watch a lot of like uh I used to like binge watch Animal Planet, like anything on Animal Planet I was watching whenever I had cable because I love it.
Like, Kage in the chat does ask, what is your favorite animal in the ocean?
Sea turtles. I actually have a sea turtle tattoo. And I did get to dive with a sea turtle once, and I loved it. It was
Yeah,
amazing. I need to do it again.
that's really awesome. The scuba diving
Mhm.
comment made me think, are there any, and maybe this is one of them, are there any details that or just interesting facts about you that have never really come up with your Twitch chat that they may not know, but you think would be interesting for them to know about you,
Ooh, I'm pretty much an open book when it comes
right?
to Twitch. Like I'll talk about anything. Like even my obsession, my Disney obsession. Like I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with Disney, but I do talk a lot about diving in the ocean and because I've actually dove with sharks and like stingrays and all kinds of stuff. Like I need to plan another diving trip soon for sure.
Yeah. While you've been kind of getting established on Twitch and building your community, is there anything about your community that you particularly really enjoy and that you would never change?
I don't know how I did it, but I have happened to attract like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like I love my community so much. They're kind, they're accepting, and that's kind of like a big thing for me is I want everybody to feel like they're welcome
Mhm.
to join my stream. And it's a great group of people. It's a variety of people because I'm all over the place.
Mhm.
But, they're really awesome. I love my community.
That's really awesome. I like that, you mentioned that, they're kind of a collection of different interest types of people because of your history as a Twitch streamer. What do you think about that has brought a lot of those people, back, regardless of your content? Like, what do you feel like is kind of the big thing that brings them all together?
Honestly, I don't know. Like I feel so blessed.
Yeah.
I feel so blessed like cuz I struggle with anxiety. So my whole thing sometimes is that oh gosh, everybody hates me. Nobody wants to talk to me
Oh,
like but then
no.
these people come back. They come back over and over again and I'm just like maybe I am okay.
Yeah.
So it's just like I said, I just try to make it as welcoming, and chill for people tell me like I'll ask like I'll ask my mods, I'll be like, what does anybody like me? I feel like nobody likes me. And they're
Oh,
like, we all like you. We all
yeah.
like you. You are a
Yeah.
likable person. So sometimes I struggle with that. I try, like I said, I just try to be my best for everybody when that camera hits go live.
I think that's something we all struggle with because it's really easy to question it. I think it's because, we're here, we're streaming, and the feedback that we get as creators and streamers is really kind of isolated to like the chat box and maybe a little viewer
Mhm.
count. and it makes it really tough to kind of process that. Like, that people are in chat, they're coming back, but then you have the question of like, why are they here or why are they still coming? I think that's really a good thing to just kind of stop and think about, because as we I think as time goes on and we kind of continue to build up these communities, it's always easy to ask, why are you here, right? But I
Yeah.
obviously I think it always boils down to the connection that we make with our communities and the people in them, and really in some way we found through this weird thing on the internet, right, that we found a way to
Mhm.
connect with them, whether it's love for Lego and brick building, or for games that we've played, or just you had a really interesting conversation one day, and that kind of brought them back the next time.
Yes, and it's I've met so many like great people. It's been really awesome on Twitch. I've got a lot gained a lot of like really good friends as a result of Twitch and brick building. So it's been a really awesome experience.
What are your thoughts on, there's a lot of these conventions that have, I mean, TwitchCon has come back. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on this whole thing of like the fact that we're in this time where you can build an online community, whatever size it might be, and then there's this potential for you all to just kind of meet up randomly one day.
Mhm.
Like, what is that like for you as someone who has a community of their own?
I mean, exciting. I've actually already met at least one person from my community. Kishu, like I said, Kishu Kyralia, who I was talking about it a little bit earlier. She actually came for a visit not that long ago. I mean, I view a lot of especially the people that I've gotten to know on Twitch, I view them all as friends. So it's like meeting a friend for the first time, and
Mhm.
it's just really exciting experience. I would love it.
For me, it's very surreal, in that I've been
Mhm.
I've been to a couple Twitch cons myself, and every time I meet someone that I've probably talked to on a very regular basis through my streams or on Discord or things like that, because we've somehow met through Twitch, and every time it's still pretty amazing because you perhaps have already shared hundreds of conversations with these people, but never face to face, and then one day you're hanging out next to each other, and
Mhm.
like it's like nothing has ever changed, or that you've always known each other. I think it's pretty cool to like think about kind of the power of these online communities, how powerful it can be. As a member of the Twitch brick building community, now that you've kind of been in it for a little while, what are your thoughts on just kind of the community as a whole?
Yeah, it's really grown. Like it was a very scary thing for me to like branch out at first. Like I did hop right in, but it was very scary. It was like I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but I've just every time I meet a new person and even like newer, like when a new person shows up, I'm like, come on in. Come be a part of the group because
Yeah,
it's an awesome community. It's one of the best communities I've found on Twitch,
yeah.
of course, I may be a little bit biased because I love Lego, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's been an awesome experience.
I've never felt as welcome as I have been in a community as I have here in Lego and brick building. Is there anyone on Twitch that you really would love to co-stream with or do some kind of form of collaboration for content that you haven't gotten to do?
Well, I have co-streamed in the past, but I would be like actually whenever my friend Kishu came in, she actually was on stream with me. Like
Hmm.
I was gonna like cancel for the weekend. I was like, I'm just gonna spend time with her. She's like, no, let's build. So she actually was there helping me do the build, and I thought that was really awesome. Like as
Yeah,
far as like, I would love to like I don't have like probably any one particular person, but I think it would be pretty cool to like co-stream like two people were both building the same thing, but we're
yeah,
in two different places. And then
yeah,
maybe like make it like a race out of it. See who can build it the fastest or something like that. I think that would be
yeah.
pretty cool.
There's definitely room for that, I think. I think there's, every so often you see a little bit of that happen, and then it just kinda
Mhm,
then, you see, like, a blip of it and then nothing for a while, but I
mhm,
would love to see more stuff like that for sure, whether it's like you're both you're both streaming and you're building the same thing, or you're like you said, even racing, to see who can finish a build the fastest. With the Lego community continuing to grow, do you have any thoughts on where it's going?
I think there's nowhere for us to go but up.
Right.
And I really love like through the brick building community, we've actually like me personally as well have inspired more adults to get back into Lego because Lego's just not for kids. That's you'll talk to people out on the street and they'll be like, "Oh, Lego's for kids." No, it's not. Have you seen some of these builds?
Yeah.
Lego is most certainly for, they do have their kid lines, but they also have you know, adult lines. So I've inspired a few people to get back into building again. And that's been really awesome. And I would like to see more of that because,
Yeah.
Lego I love it.
You're definitely right with especially in, I would say, the last couple years. They've really like Lego has really gone after the adult, the AFOL, audience, with a lot of
Mhm,
the things that they've been releasing. Also really interesting to see that they're not only going hard on that side, but you're also seeing kind of more references to mainstream things that you wouldn't necessarily expect a Lego set of. I mean, they've done Star Wars for a really long time, but then you start seeing some really deep cuts like Horizon Zero Dawn, like a video game set
mhm.
that you would like I would have never, I mean, it makes perfect sense when you see that Lego set. I would have never guessed that that's the thing that they would do. Is there any kind of theme or set that you would like to see from Lego
Mhm.
that you would like to see them actually do but has not yet existed?
Well, there is one that's actually in the works, from my understanding, that I'm super excited about, which is the Hocus Pocus set. Yeah, so they're supposed to be working on a Hocus Pocus set, which again is another one of my favorite movies. I would really like to see them do Legend of Zelda, but again, I'm a huge fan. So if they
Yeah.
did like a Triforce shield or something, I would be all over that. Or like,
Yeah, yeah.
I would love it. I would love to see them get more into like because I mean they already do Super Mario, so it would be really awesome to see them do, Zelda as well.
I'd love a Legend of Zelda set. I think that
Mhm.
if they announced one of those tomorrow, I would be like, "How soon can I buy this thing?" Because I love Legend
Yeah.
of Zelda. It's one of my favorite games. Like they
Mhm.
like all the way back to the original. Always loved it.
That's actually how I got my start gaming. I was
Yeah.
gaming on the NES, as a child, and so I'm, like, so full of nostalgia for the Super Mario sets and for
Mhm.
especially with the new Peach set that came out,
Yeah.
and it has the castle from Super Mario
Yeah.
N64, like, I was all over that, like, I love, the retro games because, that's what I played as a kid.
What do you think of that new Bowser set that's coming, like,
Oh,
in fall?
add to cart.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna
Add
get
to
it?
cart.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool,
it
cool.
looks super cool. Yeah, so
I'm very convinced that will be a, like, day one purchase for me in terms of, like, as
Mhm.
soon as I'm able to. And what's really interesting, it's got a lot of, like, puppeteering aspects
Oh, it
to it.
does?
Yeah, like, you can make Bowser move in certain ways that are more like a puppet than anything. It looks good, and it just looks good too. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
What I would like to see them add to the Super Mario sets, like the course sets,
Mhm.
they need to add a Bowser that, like, you can
Oh,
actually, like, use like they have the Mario and the Luigi and the Peach, right? And the
yeah.
Yoshi, like, why don't we have a Yoshi?
Yeah, actually, I'm very surprised that we don't really, like, have a
I'm sure it's in the
standalone.
works, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many ways a Lego can go. Do you think that there's anything more that Lego themselves could do to get more people involved? Do you think there's like a particular like theme that they could introduce that would introduce more fans, or do you think that there's another way they could get more people involved with Lego?
I mean, they're doing a pretty good job of checking all the boxes as far as like the, what's popular now kind of thing. I'm actually kind of
Right.
shocked they didn't go with like a Game of Thrones set because that was so big for a long time. But like
Yeah.
they're starting to branch into like movies and TV and all that stuff. So I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I mean,
Oh,
they're getting there. I mean, like those Jurassic Park sets that you're talking about, I
mhm.
was surprised to see that we got more of those recently. It's incredible. They keep coming out with sets that I'm very surprised that they actually even are, doing. So, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
They gotta check those nostalgia boxes because I mean I know you saw that Atari set,
Yeah.
come out. I was like, there's a lot of people excited about that too. So they're like, all of our most of our adults are, in that range. Let's throw this set out here, you know.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. The NES set remains as probably my favorite set that I've built in the last year. Admittedly, part of that was the nostalgia factors, thinking back to the
Mhm.
days, because that was the perfect that was the perfect timing for me because I was an NES kid as well, and so playing with the Nintendo when I was like 8 or 9 years old is probably like peak memory for me, when I look back
Yeah.
at those days, and also playing with Lego back then too. And
Mhm.
so the fact that they're going after the Atari generation, I didn't expect that, but it makes sense. It makes sense because they're really tugging at the heartstrings that a lot of nostalgic people will go for. So,
Yeah, and that's a set I keep eyeing. Like sometimes like I have like a
yeah.
whole wish list set up and I look at it and I'm like, I gotta really like, do I want this? I know I
Yeah.
think I want this, but do I really like as far as a build goes? Because sometimes I gotta stop myself. I gotta be like, is this really what I want? Because I like the look of it, I like the way it looks, but
Yeah.
am I gonna be happy with this purchase at the same time? So it's kind of like it and that's how I ended up losing out on a lot of things like
Yep.
going out and getting retired. And I'm like, wait, actually did want that.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of look at it and then like I'll look at it for like a few
Yeah.
months, maybe 6 months or so, and then I'll be like either yes or no. And then if I say no, it's just like, okay, it's a no, it's a hard no. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
one set I'm kind of looking at. I'm like, I want it for the nostalgia factor, but like, is this really gonna like fit with everything else that I've bought and built or
Yeah.
plan to build?
Disco Duck 99 in the chat asks, "Is there a Lego set that you aren't happy with?"
It as far as one that I've built, I'm not particularly happy with the new with the way they set up the build for a few sets, mainly R2.
Mm,
That I have the new R2
right.
and it has a little bit of Technic, not a ton, but I really
Mhm.
struggled with that one because and of course I put a video up on TikTok of what happened, but Chaos Kitty,
Mhm.
Star Fox decided to knock it over, and when it knocked over, it's in pieces, and I'm like, "I had so much trouble with this build the first time I built it, I really don't wanna rebuild it again." So it kinda stayed like that for a couple of weeks before I was ready to tackle it again. But,
Yeah.
like, sometimes the way Lego, like, they want you to just sit things there on a little tiny peg, and I'm like, "This is wiggling, I need this to be
Right.
secure," like
Right.
and so that kind of thing, that one kind of like there's aspects of it. Like, of course, I love R2, so I love the set. But
Mhm.
like as far as the build, engineering there, I'm like, can we just like stick something in there to hold it still?
I built the R2 D2 as well,
Hmm.
like the new one, and
Hmm.
that was actually the first big set I bought when getting back into Lego. But then
Hmm.
it was so delayed that I ended up building it after I built the Daily Bugle. But that said, I don't disagree with you. There was actually a lot of Technic in there, more than I don't know what I was expecting. there was more than I had anticipated there to be. And I can see how, like me, a lot of people were surprised by Technic. And then
Mhm.
the potential for the complexity of get like the side panels, getting those on right, or like the
Mhm.
mechanism that for the leg that pops out. Like it's definitely more than I think anyone had like at first glance bargained for.
Absolutely. I actually had to tear mine apart and rebuild it because of the issue I had with the leg.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't sit properly, and I had to
Mm,
go back and basically tear down half of the build to figure out where I went wrong, which is
yeah.
it part of the reason why I'm like, I don't like Technic,
Yeah.
but I still made myself tackle the beast, AT-AT, because I was like, I
Yeah.
really love this set and I want
Yeah.
it. So I'm gonna make it work. But like I was so paranoid for all the sections because
Yeah.
like, sometimes the instructions aren't very clear for me when I'm looking at them as far as what's supposed to go where. Like, sometimes
Right.
the angles throw me off, and then I put a peg in the wrong spot, and it just messes up the whole thing. So it's just
Yeah.
Tactic is kind of the bane of my existence sometimes with the sets.
Did you build that one on stream?
Yes, I did, and it
Yeah.
it took me a fair while. I was building it, but granted, I did take a few weeks off over the summer because I was trying to get rest and ended up getting sick. But I did start it, and it took me probably close to 30-35 hours maybe to build
Wow.
that. I
Yeah.
haven't added up all the time yet
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
I download my VODs to put like time lapses on YouTube whenever it's been a minute since I've worked on one, but so I download all my VODs like, but I'm scared to go back and look at all the time because one of those something my chat really likes to do is distract me so that I don't like get very far in the build.
Yeah.
One stream I did 3 hours and only put 50 pieces on the AT. The entire stream. That's how
Yeah.
bad that they had me distracted. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a game to them sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's all in good fun.
How do they distract you? What kind of methods do they employ?
Channel redemptions. Sometimes they'll start talking about something and I'll go off on a rant and I'm just sitting here holding pieces in
Mhm.
my hand and I'm just like I've been talking about like something that they know how to throw like things I'll be passionate about in chat and
Yeah.
and then I'll just be like talking for like 30 minutes and then I haven't put a single piece on. They get a kick out of it.
The things that they get you ranting about, is there like a short list of things that they know they can get a reaction out of you from?
Well, it's as far as as like ranting goes, it's more like I get excited and then I focus on that.
Yeah.
But one thing, one thing to always get me going is driving and traffic.
Mm,
Yes, I hate. I live in a big city of like 3 to 5 million people, depending on the area you consider. So there's
yeah.
a lot of people. So I have a lot of experience. And I have a tendency to attract I don't want to say crazy people because that's not very nice, but I have a tendency to attract people who are having a day and like I will have to swerve or like I've had back in January I had somebody run me off the road. Like
Yeah.
I tend to attract everybody who's having a bad day in a car when I'm in a car. So
Oh,
I hate
no.
driving. So I will
Yeah.
go off on driving.
Yeah.
So
I feel like driving, like the thought of driving or like being in those experiences while you're driving and someone cuts you off or whatever, honks at you or whatever. I
mhm.
think it causes a lot of even people you would consider calm. I don't know. I don't know what it is about driving because I have a lot of people in my life that generally their temperament is just very calm and even keeled. But then when you get in a car with
Mhm.
them and they're in traffic and someone does something, they will lose it. And I get it. Like I
Mhm.
understand.
Maybe slightly guilty a little bit.
Thank you, Omen, in the chat, in regards to our talk about like different sets and things like that. Says, speaking of nostalgia, are there any movies and shows from childhood that you'd like to see as a set like they did with the DeLorean from Back to the Future?
Ooh. Well, they've kind of already checked the box for me with Jurassic Park, and then now with Hocus Pocus. I mean, literally pretty much lots of things from the 90s would be like, okay, I need that. I need
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. For me, it was the DeLorean. Like that was
mhm,
when that came out. I think I stayed up, to order it, knowing that I didn't want to have to wait to get it, and I don't live near a Lego store, so I was like, okay, I need to
mhm.
order it, and I need to order it early enough where it doesn't get delayed or get back ordered or anything like that. So that's
Yeah, that's
very
gonna be me with Hocus Pocus. I can already tell you with Hocus Pocus, it's gonna be me for sure. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sure there's like some things that where if they actually came out with it, I'm like, I didn't know I needed this, but I need it
yeah,
because Lego has a way to do that to me. But
yeah.
I would probably say like pretty much anything that was like major in the 90s. Like the only thing that doesn't keep me from buying a lot of the like Disney sets, the Disney princess sets, is I don't like the mini figures that they like.
Oh,
I don't know what they're called, but like the little characters that they put with those. I would
mhm.
prefer it if they had like actual mini figures. Like I would probably buy more of that set if it wasn't the different characters.
Definitely. I think that yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I like minifigures in general. So when things are
Mhm,
not in that format, when it's not a
mhm.
minifig, I tend to go, why isn't it just a minifig? So I hear you on that one
Exactly. Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing, like with the thing that kept me from getting a lot of the new like Jurassic Park sets is
Mhm.
that they're like one piece. It's like I went to the store and bought like a toy from the toy section. Like, no, I want to build this dinosaur. I don't want you to give it to me already built.
Right,
So
right,
that's
right.
kind of yeah. That's kind of something that's kind of stopped me from buying a lot of the new stuff. I mean, I did get the one where I actually got the T-Rex Rampage, which I find interesting that Lego didn't like try to pick a different name for it because there's also a
Mhm.
similar set with the same name. And so if you type in T-Rex Rampage, you get both sets. So like they're pretty much the exact same thing, except for one says Jurassic Park and the other one just says T-Rex Rampage.
Yeah, that is interesting, like how they sometimes name sets or name them things that are close enough to something that already exists or is almost
Mhm.
pretty much identical. So,
Yeah, because there's it's T-Rex Breakout, I think is what it's called. Yeah, there's two sets called T-Rex Breakout. Just one says like Jurassic Park, and then one
huh.
doesn't. Yeah, so
Yeah. Is it safe to say like any further Jurassic Park sets that come out, you'll probably pick up?
probably like what I really want Lego to do is to make a velociraptor that you can build. Like
Yeah.
you can build the T-Rex. Like I really want them to do that. And I was kind of hoping with the new Jurassic World movie that they would do that, but
Yeah.
they haven't yet. So I'm hoping that is eventually in the works down the road. That's something that I would really want.
There's so many things, right? There's so many things that
Yes.
we only wish that Lego would do, but I don't know. I'm also like I said earlier with some of the things they've come out, I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm also very much in the realm of, "Oh, yeah, that makes total sense." But I didn't expect it. So who knows what they'll come out with. As someone who builds Lego and you stream, you have this community, do you have any thoughts on where you want to take your stream and the fact that you build Lego? Is there something you want to experiment with on your stream or the content that you're making?
I'm constantly like on the lookout for ideas as far
Yeah,
as like how to, not necessarily just like up the Lego, but things fun things for people to do like while they're in chat
yeah,
and things like that. So I actually just recently added because chat likes to distract me a distraction counter. So if you go into my chat and type exclamation point squirrel, it will add to the counter
yeah.
and it actually like sends back a little emote of a squirrel holding a nut. And so it's just like it I just
Eh,
constantly I don't really like have like a set plan. I just like I try to wait for things to just come to me and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do that. That's what we're
yeah.
gonna do.
How has that worked out for you? Do you like whenever you add something, is there a particular thing that you're just like, oh, here's a random idea, and now it's just totally stuck and it's like a core part of your content?
Not really. I experiment with a lot of stuff. Like
Yeah.
some stuff I bring in. Like I basically use stream as my testing ground at the same time to figure out
Yeah.
what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'll throw stuff out there, and if it's not really like well used, well I'll go ahead and remove it, and then try to find something to like replace it. But yeah, like I use it basically as my testing ground. Like I'm like, I wonder if this would be a good idea, and so I bring it around, and then I basically let the community decide whether it stays or goes.
What would you tell someone who is trying to figure out what they want their stream to be? Someone who's new or fresh to the brick building or Twitch community, and they're kind of at this point where like, what do I do? How do I get like how do I, maybe they just started streaming, but they're like, well, how do I become successful? What would you tell them?
Just try everything. Try and fail. You're gonna fail sometimes, and sometimes you're gonna succeed. Just keep trying until you succeed. I initially built my community from interacting with other streamers, and you know what they always everybody says networking, networking, but nobody ever
Mm,
really tells you what that is. But I just
mhm,
say like if you just try everything. A lot of people use like social media and stuff. Like I don't really promote too much on like I just recently got a Twitter just because I
mhm,
don't like really spend a ton of time on social media. Like I'm either on Twitch or I'm on Discord, and that's pretty much it.
mhm.
Just try and figure out what works for you. And if you do go into other people's streams, don't go into other people's streams with the expectation that they're going to come to yours.
Yeah.
Just go and meet people and make friends. And you know, if you genuinely you know, find people that you enjoy, like, and you make friendships, those people will come support you. Like, I'm not saying to go into other people's streams with the intention of, getting something back. But
Yeah.
if you do go, like, just go to hang out and make friends and no expectations. But, like, a lot of people give people that advice to go just to go try and get people to come into your stream, and I say no. If
Yeah.
you're gonna go into other person's stream, you're there for that person and to interact with chat, and if you make friendships from there, that's awesome. And, like, people on the LJM on YouTube, he'll tell you not to do that at all. He's like, "Don't network at all. Just be yourself and try to find ways to make yourself more visible and attract people into your stream. Don't go into others with the expectation that somebody's gonna, join your stream.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantees, and you're just setting yourself up for disappointment that way. And nobody really like people want you to be there genuinely, like because you want to be there, not because you want something from them.
I mean, that's great advice. I definitely agree with that, and I believe that it's funny that you bring up like networking because you hear that all the time when you hear like, "Hey, how can I grow my stream? How can I grow my Twitch channel?" And then inevitably someone says networking. But I think people don't see it in the way that you just described, right? Where it's ideally you're making genuine connections with other people and getting to know others in the Twitch community, or in our case, the brick building community. It doesn't have to be as nefarious as it might sound, right? Like going in and being
Yeah.
like, "Hey, my name's Amor. I'm a streamer too. Do you want to be friends?" Like,
Yeah.
right? It's more about building something more organic or more genuine and authentic with other people.
If you're a streamer and you
Hmm.
make friends with other streamers, eventually it will come out up that you're a streamer. And some people like will just check your profile anyway, and then they'll find out that you're a streamer. There's no need to like, go into
Yeah.
somebody else and be like, hey, can you shout me out real quick, even though we just met 5 seconds ago?
Yeah.
You know, it's which I haven't really had a problem with at all. And like, like I said, I've always whenever I go in with no expectations other than to getting to know the community that I'm around.
Yeah.
And I've met like really awesome, people as a result.
Yeah.
And yes, some of those people have shown up to my stream, but they like I had absolutely no intentions of anybody, no showing up.
Yeah.
It was just I needed to socialize, which is, Twitch is my way of socializing. So I went into other people's streams and I socialized.
When I go into other people's streams and I talk or I chat, I always feel weird mentioning that stuff. So I don't. That's like I never in some cases I almost avoid it, right? Where
Yeah.
there's a very easy in to be like, "Oh yeah, like you can easily say you stream without saying you stream." I even avoid
Mhm.
those personally because I never want to come across as that kind of person. Like you said, if you spend enough time in someone's chat or community, it's very clear that eventually it will be discovered that you stream or that you do
Mhm.
something on Twitch if that is indeed something that you do. So I appreciate that thought because I think a lot of people work super hard to get that right, and it's really
Mhm.
not. I don't like doing it. It feels inauthentic. It doesn't feel right.
Mhm. But that's also, like, the first piece of advice, like, a lot of people will throw out there. I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
that's not what you need to do,"
Yeah.
and I know a lot of the big streamers, like, they don't even raid most of the time. Like, sometimes
Yeah.
they'll raid to, like, surprise somebody, some random
Yeah.
person. They'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna drop," to surprise somebody, but, like,
Yeah.
often if you're trying to make it as a streamer, which my goal of streaming is to socialize and to make friends and, have fun.
Yeah.
Growth, of course, is, it's nice. It's nice. But like if you're trying to actually like make it as a streamer,
Yeah.
networking the way people recommend is definitely not the way to go.
You're right. You're right in that it comes up a lot. It really does. And I don't I've never felt comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And part of
Yeah.
me kind of feels scummy, like
Yeah.
because I remember early on in my career, I think I've seen a lot of those same recommendations. And I remember thinking that I was like, there's no way that I can even do that and not feel bad about it. So I just remember
Mhm.
not ever doing that. And I remember thinking, well, if that's how it goes for me and I never make any friends on Twitch, then I guess
Yeah.
that's how it'll
You
be.
know, yeah, that's how I felt about it. I'm like, if if I'm gonna be, and the funny thing is, when I started streaming, I had literally like zero expectations of what
Yeah.
it has become. It's been a really awesome, journey. But I really thought that I was gonna be streaming to two people forever. you
Oh, yeah.
know and
Yeah.
it just happened, like I just happened to get to know people, and then people started showing up because they I got to know them, and I made friendships, which of course I wouldn't trade for the world. But
Yeah.
like I literally, like I was like, I'm coming into this with zero expectations, so there's zero disappointment.
I think that is a fair way to even look at it, honestly. I think a lot of people get false expectations when it comes to streaming, honestly.
Mhm.
We touched on this in a previous episode talking to Disco Duck actually. He made a joke about, and to some degree it was accurate for his experience as well, as where he thought I could just turn on the camera and go for it and then people are going to start showing up, which is not really how it goes per se. Yeah, you don't just start
Mhm.
streaming and then you're suddenly streaming to like hundreds of people. It doesn't work that way. So
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of people. But like I said, since growth isn't my main goal,
yeah,
I don't really like post a whole lot on YouTube or a lot on Twitter or TikTok or something like if I have
right,
something that's, funny that I want to share or things like that, then I'll throw it out there. But um a lot of like Twitch discoverability is not the best. It could
definitely,
definitely use some improvements. But I know a lot of people also talk about like how YouTube is a lot better, especially
yeah,
if you're familiar with the algorithm and like all this stuff. And then people will start showing up to your Twitch stream because like a lot of the big Twitch streamers were previously YouTubers, or
hmm,
did do some version of something else to you know get discoverability. But
yeah. I'm very curious. You and I were talking earlier about the new tagging system, or rather the changes to it. And so I'm very
Mhm.
curious to see, after it's had enough time to proliferate and kind of be widely more used by streamers, and hopefully the audience, because that's where it'll really hopefully be useful. Is I'm very curious to see how, if at all, it will impact discoverability, because now people, one, they can add more tags, and two, they can honestly type in whatever tags they want. So I'm really curious, for this system to work. It's going to require streamers to start using tags more diligently and hopefully more accurately. And then two, it's going to require users or people who are browsing for streams to either click on an existing tag that they're seeing in a stream that they're watching, or start typing and searching for tags they like. Will it work? I don't know. So I'm really curious to see if it will improve things at all. I guess it can only go up, honestly, given the lack of finding other people on Twitch. But
Definitely.
yeah, who knows? Who knows where it'll go? I'm very curious to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm actually pretty excited about that because there's been some times where I was like, "Oh, this would be a good tag," but then I would type it in and
yeah,
like, "Can't use this. Like, this is not one of the preset ones." Like,
yeah,
why not? Why not?
yeah. All those
So,
preset ones have gone out the window, and now it's whatever we want it to be, which is interesting. I noticed in the first day, I think it was a combination of not everyone having it yet because they were rolling it out slowly, but a combination of that and people not just being aware of it. So I'm hoping over the coming weeks that it becomes more familiar for the streamers and for the people who are watching Twitch to hopefully like make it a part of their experience on Twitch. One thing that they did note, because someone in chat, Scotty, is saying seems kind of open for abuse. I mean, there's a bunch of filters already built into it, and it'll tell you if there's certain tags you can't use. So, if you use something, you will get an error message if it's not appropriate, or if it seems like an abuse of the system. I imagine, stuff can still happen, but I imagine I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers that they learn really quickly how it can, not be broken. But we'll
yes.
see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like workarounds too, because I've noticed a lot of that, like how a lot of people get around TOS is, changing a letter or something
Oh yeah.
in their name, and it's still the word, and it's like
Yeah.
hopefully they start working on a better, filtering system for that,
Yeah.
which they usually do. They're pretty well with like the ban
Yeah.
words, the like you can like put an asterisk, so anything that's like similar
Yeah.
will get banned, but or removed from chat. But I hope that they do, because there's always going to be that one person that tries to
Oh
work
yeah.
around it. So,
Yeah. I hope so. And I know that as part of their process with this particular feature, they really, and I mean, I only know what they've told us, but they've
mhm.
made a point to say we really took the time on this feature and we talked to a lot of streamers about it early on. So I'm hoping that that came back to them, that some streamers were like, "Hey, like if someone wants to be horrible about it, like I hope you have something in place." Whether it's similar to, like you just said, the banned word system. They're also
Mhm.
using some AI that recognizes suspicious accounts and words. Hopefully something like that is also a part of this feature. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
It's only a couple days old, so, but I would encourage folks who are listening, when you hear this, or those of you watching right now, to kind of look at the tag system. And I would challenge streamers to find 10 tags whenever they go live that make sense for their stream too. So, uh, we'll see. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be good. And honestly, if you're a brick building member of the community, whether you're a viewer or a streamer, don't forget to use brick building. Don't forget you could use Lego
Yes.
now. Lego is now a thing. Although I'm staring, I was staring at some channels, and I'm noticing again because it's probably early. Some have zero tags at all. People that I follow, so it's like I don't know if they're gonna. I wonder how that's going to affect people's viewership, right? Because sometimes people just discover you by clicking or searching for brick building, or and people who aren't using those tags may get missed now. So we'll see. It's definitely something people need to make a part of their routine when they start their stream is look at those tags and start like enter them as they go.
I'm gonna have to play around with that after
Yeah.
after stream because you told me about it and I didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I,
It's
I
so
was it was
fresh.
like
It's
brand
so
new news
new.
to me.
Yeah, it's so fresh. It's so new. I've been playing with it. I've been figuring out like what tags I want to use. And my streams over the last several days have been widely different. I streamed, I mean I'm streaming this, but I've also streamed different games. So I think that there's just a lot of learning for everyone
Mhm.
involved. In terms of your own stream, what does the future for Fireheart and your channel hold? What kind of things do you have planned for your stream?
I am actually working on my 500 follower celebration. We're not there yet, but one of my ideas is to let chat do my makeup, which is either going to go hilariously good or hilariously bad. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
But knowing my chat, you're probably going to come in and I'm going to have like eyeliner here and then like blush up here and like all kinds
Yeah.
of crazy stuff. But I thought that would be something fun to do with them. And
Uh,
but we're not quite there yet. We're
Yeah.
we're getting close, but not there yet. But then I thought maybe I would also play like some games I've never played before. Like a lot of people like want me to play the hard games like Getting Over It or something. Maybe I'll
Oh
play some of
man.
that and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just I got a few things in the works.
I love it. I love the getting over it stream. I have thought about doing a getting over it stream, and if I don't do it, I would encourage you to. But I thought about doing the I will play getting over it until I beat the game. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll
Is there
ever
an end
beat
to
that.
that game?
Yeah, there's an end to the game. That's the whole point. Like that's yeah. Like there's an end. Like you can beat it. So the I know, right? And so I'm worried that I'll never beat it. I'm worried that I'll be like 20 hours in and I'm like, I can't do this, guys. Maybe I just need to cap it. Actually, that's a good idea. Be like 20 hours or the stream ends in 20 hours or when I beat this game. Who knows? Anyway, there you go. There's an idea. I don't know what you want to do. But so 500 follower celebration. That's exciting. Uh More on that later. Is that something you'll share when the time comes?
Yes, yep, basically. I will share it. I'll definitely share on my stream, but also, in my Discord as well.
Yeah. That's really exciting. Congratulations on that milestone. 500 follows is huge. I feel like anything, like anytime we hit one of those milestones, it's always something like cause for celebration. So I hope that goes really well for you. I'll definitely share that out when you have more information on it as well. Now that you've done most of this show with me tonight, is there anyone that in the Twitch community that you would like to see go through this experience, the crossing the streams guest experience?
Ooh. Hmm. I would like to see I don't know if he may have been on the show before, but I would like to see Bent, Star Wars pop lover. I think that would be awesome. Or even your nerdy girl. One
We
of
did
those
have your
2
nerdy
would
girl
be
on. We did have her
yeah, oh,
on.
you did? You
Yeah,
did? Okay.
it's a good
I'm gonna have to
episode.
go back and watch that VOD.
Yeah, it's a good episode. But we haven't had Bent on, so that would be a really good one. Definitely. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on this show and talking about Twitch and Lego and what it means to be a content creator on Twitch. Thank you for hanging out with me, Aylin. It was a ton of fun. Thank you for being here.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
As is tradition, I often give the floor to the guest for any parting words that they might have for anyone who is listening to this episode. So I give the floor to you to close out the episode.
I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you're sitting on the fence about streaming on Twitch, go for it.